penmanship book. She said, you write just like the penmanship book. I'm saying that it starts with individuals. We can't have a good school system, the superintendent, unless we have good teachers. And one of the things I found out when I used to go to talk to the teachers about my children and my adopted children, they never talked to me about the children. They always talked to me about their problems. Yes, teachers need love. Teachers need attention. Teachers need to be appreciated. And we have a mechanism in this society called public education, which if we trust it, can put together a lot of the pieces that are broken. I just read the introduction to Howard Buffett's book by his father, Warren Buffett. And he says that all of his children, he said he couldn't get them through college, but they didn't need that, they had money. He said maybe between his 3 children, they have enough for 1 degree. They're all very creative and and he said the reason he thinks is because every Buffett since his great-grandfather has gone to the same public schools in Omaha, Nebraska. And that public school education is one of those things that has kept this country together, and we cannot let people destroy it. Closing this out now because you're doing almost everything right. There's one group that's coming to join you soon called Operation Hope. And it's a guy that I started working with when he was a kind of he was a ex-Soul Train dancer. Who, when his community was burned down in the Rodney King riots, decided nobody else was going to build the community back. And so he had enough chutzpah to go around and talk to people about getting our community back together. And he went to the bankers and he went to the developers and he organized something called Operation Hope. Now it's nationwide, and we've just started a program. I'm one of their international advisors. We've just started a program of financial literacy that I think we're bringing to the St. Louis schools this year. And the idea is to teach kids about money and to teach them. Jim Clifton, who runs Gallup polls, says that the most important thing in polling all around the world is a job. We have only 1.2 billion jobs and 7 billion people going on 9 billion. 1 billion can't support that many. 2 billion of those are women who are virtually enslaved. And so the answer to most of our problems is jobs. And he also says that the most imaginative and creative period in our lives is between 12 and 18. And so we've started a program which is an attempt to copy what CARE does in Africa with the School in a Box and UNICEF. We call it Business in a Box. And Peter Uberoff has worked it out with him, and we give kids a chance to think about what are they going to do to make some money, how are they going to create jobs for themselves, how are they going to learn to save and manage, how are they going to get a 700 credit score. And the difference in poverty and success quite often is your credit score, but nobody tells you that in school, usually. And so we started talking to kids in middle school about credit scores. And we're trying to help them to become financially literate, because the success of our society depends on how well we make democracy and free enterprise work for the poor. It's worked very well for the rich and the middle class, but it's a little different. And we're not just talking about the poor in the United States of America. You get to talk about the poor in China, the poor in Egypt, the poor all over the planet. And that if there is any hope, and if we can find a way, I get back to my preaching, the only thing Jesus is going to ask at the gates, I hope, is, did you feed the hungry? Did you clothe the naked? Did you heal the sick? Did you visit those that were in prison, and as you set at liberty those who were oppressed? He went back to the prophet Isaiah as the basic virtues and values of life. And that's what we're going to be judged by. Not our degrees, not our titles, not our bank accounts, but what we have done. Of course, if you got a good bank account, you've been creating some jobs. And jobs are the best way to feed the hungry. And if you are healing, you know, you get your, I met, was it Centene that sent the plane for us? I went to one of those clinics one time, and they said they wanted to tell me what they do. I said, look, don't tell me. Here's my Medicaid card. Do me. And it didn't take them but about an hour to draw blood, take a few x-rays, this, that, and the other. And they told me exactly what I was wrong. The same thing that the doctor that charged me $11,000 to tell me had told me a couple of weeks before. So we're not, you know, we're making progress. And the things that we have got to learn is something that I learned as a kid growing up. I grew up born in 1932, so I remember Franklin Roosevelt saying there's nothing to fear but fear itself when they bombed Pearl Harbor and when he had to mobilize the world to save our nation. But there was a song that we ought to keep in our hearts. Tom Brokaw calls that the greatest generation. Well, the song of the greatest generation, Zanona won't admit it, but she remembers Andrew's sisters too. And they simply said, you've got to accentuate the positive, eliminate the negative, latch on to the affirmative, don't mess with Mr. In Between. And we have had a way of looking at what's wrong. Our newspapers every night, our television tells us everything that's going wrong in a school, but nobody ever says that, you know, 75% of these kids are moving on and moving up. And so if we can be affirmative, and even talking about our president, he can't do anything right. But the truth of it is there's nobody that can do it as well as he's doing it. And he's cool. You know, he doesn't let anything get him upset. And we shall overcome. And we shall be free. Not someday, today. We are as free as we dare to be. Yes, and as we take the responsibilities for our own freedom, and as we share that freedom and love and service with others, you know, this world's going to be all right. Amen.